am DM Zone. This is the Gamers Oasis. We're doing another 15 ped hunt, this time without my armor. Hey guys, this is another one of those 15 ped hunts where I run around and kill things. You know, I've killed quite a few of these things. Sometimes you run into good runs where you find like super rare stuff, and sometimes you run into super rare things where you get a whole bunch of the common stuff that really just sells for TT value. To be fair, I'm just going to go ahead and say this up front. That's kind of what this hunt is. And I'd have to go back and look. I will do when I do like my comparison video, I guess you could say, for the Bukin with armored and without armor. I think that my profit to loss margin is about the same, but I think that the amount of extra items I get and the amount of percent of total profit that is shrapnel, or the 0.01 common and uncommon items. I think that is higher on the runs where I don't use armor, which means that I have greater diversity in what I'm doing with the armor. I don't know if adding the enhancers or the absorbers, whatever you want to call it, the extenders, to the armor will affect that, or if that just allows me to hunt different creatures. Maybe because I'm not spending as much decay, maybe it will then push it more towards being unarmored. And that's something I might have to take into consideration or look at in the future. Not that my 0.8 it's 0.21, excuse me, 0.21 for 15 ped is about what I spend on decay for my armor. Not that that's a huge amount, but maybe it is. And if it does mean I have this much diversity in what I get, maybe that's a pretty big deal. I think I'll see more of that when I do unarmored melee runs versus armored melee runs, because my decay for armored runs should be significantly more. Currently, the biggest problem I have with that is the melee weapon I've been using, my melee weapon of choice, shall we say, is the maze hammer, and the maze hammer is a 5 ped weapon. That means that for a 15 ped hunt, I have to repair it 3 times, which is pretty crazy when you consider that, at some point in time, I hope to be doing 50 ped hunts with the Bukin. That means I literally would have to repair this thing 10 times in a single 50 ped hunt. So, or I'd have to have 10 of them. And good Lord, sorry about the notifications on my phone. Anyways, so yeah, in this particular hunt, I got a pretty substantial amount of extractors. Looks like my oil residue and my animal oils and my oil residue, pretty good amounts of my profit compared to what I normally have. My Vivo S10 was barely even used, even though I'm not wearing armor. So natural healing definitely makes this more efficient in that way. That would be something to look at too. Does my overall efficiency go up? Because I'm able to, I don't have as much going into it. Like in this one here, let's see, I have 0.12 ped or pack, basically 12 pack was put into my Vivo S10. That's not a lot. That's not as much as my armor, which is 21 pack of repairs generally for a 15 ped hunt. So I don't know. That's just one of those things that I'm not 100% sure if they make a lot of difference, or because of how they're counted, they make a lot of difference. I'm not 100% sure. On a little bit different note, one of the things I was wanting to talk about was like the direction of where the video and everything is going. Do you feel like it is important to know other things about the game, or is this just stuff that I worry about? Do you want to go down this road with me? Some of the things I'm looking at delving deeper into is like the nature of finding fruit. There's a lot of rumors out there about ways that can maybe disprove it. One of the things, one of the thoughts is that fruit do not exist prior to you finding it. That means that there's a potential that this is a true statement. If that is a true statement, then what that means is that the fruit is not there prior to you creating it. So only you see it. Other people wouldn't see your fruit. So if that's the truth, if that's a true statement, then maybe it's also a true statement to say, well, okay, but does that mean that if I run the same 10 feet back and forth, that eventually fruit won't spawn within that 10-foot area? Which means that technically I'm never out of sight of it. So if I were to just run 10 feet back and forth every day, all day, and then eventually pay attention to my screen and went over, oh look, I got fruit to pick up. And how much fruit would I have? Does fruit decay while it's on the ground? So if I find fruit and I take a phone call and I don't do anything about it, and the phone call's an hour long, does it despawn? Is there a respawn rate of which fruit can happen? So we'll say it's a variable rate. Let's say every 5 minutes to 10 minutes is standard. So if you're running every 5 to 10 minutes, you should find some amount of fruit. Maybe that's true, or maybe it's every 5 to 10 minutes fruit will spawn, and sometimes it'll spawn within your vision. Other times it spawns outside of your vision, and you don't see it unless you turn. Maybe there's a difference in clip plane between what you see and what is created around you. That would be a good example of that potentially. That would go in line of thought with you have the ability to sometimes get super lucky and have a fruit pop in front of you like every minute, or you go run around and collect fruit for an hour and you walk away with like 6 things of fruit, or you run around for an hour and you don't see anything. Is it really that random that you don't see it? Or maybe that it's just spawning outside of your radius of your thing. And maybe that's why when you run the lines, not the zone lines, but like the terrain lines where the features have these natural things because they do repeating terrain. So they just end up making these natural lines that go diagonal throughout the thing. Maybe that's why you see it, is because you run down and you run back, and if it wasn't in your vision the first time, it'd be in your vision the second time. So I think you have to kind of build and find what tests you want to do first. So one of the tests I was thinking about doing to try and figure this out was to go from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E to point F, and then I would take the teleports back. My thought is between Gamma and whatever base that is to the north of it on the moon, I would set essentially a route, and then I would run that route every day and see if I found fruit on that route. This would prove 2 things. this would prove that fruit has less than a 1 day respawn timer, or that it spawns based upon you ran this amount of distance and it appeared in front of you. If I did that test for 10 days, then I would have more knowledge of what's going on. Give me a second here, something just great just happened. Okay, so if I ran that test for 10 days, as I was just saying before, part of my computer glitched on me and I had to restart something, then that would give me an idea of what I need to do. There's a second test I was thinking about doing too, and that is there's a particular field that just sort of natural land formations that makes like a little basin that's pretty good size. And it's based on 3 sides, and on one side it has basically a road, a bridge type of thing. Anyways, I just run zigzags back and forth. This could be done a lot more proficiently if I had this set out in a grid. So I'm thinking about setting that out in a grid and then doing that. I would say, if I haven't done it in the last couple days, every time I run that area, I have like a 70% chance of finding some fruit. And it doesn't take a tremendously long time, maybe 10-15 minutes, maybe at the most, to run. So it's a nice way for me to get fruit on a pretty regular basis. But the idea is that I would log off at the start point. I would log on, set my places as I ran, and then basically set my waypoints, and then basically bing, 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 and I would just zigzag across that area and see what would happen. And I would do that every day for 10 days, just like on the other one, and then we go ahead and see what came of it. Anyways, after doing several 10-day of these hunts, I think we'd have a greater idea of maybe fruit and where it was, and of course I'd have to track location on this route to see what they're around, to see if there's anything else that, any other features that are important, like maybe they're near rocks, maybe they're near cliffs, roads, whatever, and we'll go from there. Anyways, going to go ahead and end that portion of this talk and go back to the actual hunt. As you can see here, this hunt was fairly successful. Again, you know, the percentage of shrapnel is higher, or low cost items was higher than the more rare items. I could do this hunt on repeat if I wanted to, basically once daily. I think if you did a 15 pet every day, you would end up really coming out way ahead in the long run, versus spending 200 pet this week and then nothing the next week for like the next 2 weeks, because you blew through $20 worth of funds. Anyways, if you want to see more videos like this, or want to get more in depth, or if you have thoughts on my fruit gathering stuff, or fruit stone, whatever, dung gathering, and I guess Nawa, like the name of that. Let me know down below what you guys think, and if these are things you'd want to be more a part of, or if I should just say go ahead and live stream these and just do it for fun and see what you guys think. Or maybe you guys want me to move more towards a live stream format for some of these 15 pet hunts, just because that might be more entertaining to you too. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate it, and I try to answer 100% of the comments that come through. Thank you. Have a great day. Keep her in that bed.